Well done for being on time. I'm just going to open my chat there so I can see you because I can't see your faces. That's a shame about this format, but welcome. Oh my God, look at the numbers racking in. As you are coming in, my request is that you use this as an opportunity to put all distractions aside. Even though I can't see you, I can feel if you're present. So a real invitation to be fully present here with me, with everyone else on the call. So that's my invitation, that you put everything else aside and you be fully here because you've committed this time to launching and growing your business, which is great. So that's my invitation. And as you come in, I would love to see, because I can't see your faces, please put into the chat, yeah, there you go, into the chat, how many years into coaching you are, or if you haven't started at all, so where you are on your coaching journey, what part of the world you are joining us from, and the one question you want answered by the end of the session. Wow, so here we go. Qatar, people coming in for Qatar, from Spain, from Canada, Israel. Wow. Hey, UK, someone in the UK. I'm in London. Where are you? Let me know. Lots of beginners. 4 years. So old professionals. When I say old, I speak for myself on that. West Sussex, Kate, lovely to hear from you. Switzerland, oh my God. This is wonderful. And now the questions coming in. So put these questions in. And we have, I'd like to introduce Clarissa. Clarissa, you're right to come on video, camera. Clarissa,
Yes, hi.
Clarissa is going to be dancing with me today. We've never worked together, but we're dancing. We're doing the whole co-active piece. Dancing in the moment. She's got permission to intrude, but she's going to be keeping an eye on the chat. And are we keeping everyone in the chat solely? We're going to just keep it in the chat? Yeah?
Yeah, I think for now, yeah, we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
dance with it later on, but for now, we'll keep it in the chat.
Keep it in the chat. So what I want you to do is hold that question yourself, and Clarissa is making notes and looking out for themes. I am going to be also asking you I like interaction. So it's a shame I can't see your faces, but I can see your questions, and so can Clarissa. So what we're going to be doing is I want you to be asking questions as we go. So as I'm talking, please, please, please ask questions. And then at a certain point later on, I'm going to ask if you want to speak to me as well. But just for now, as things are happening, please don't hold back. Do know that if you've got the questions, someone else in the space will have it too. So please be putting those questions into the chat as we go along. And Clarissa's keeping an eye on them, and she's going to intrude on me and let me know what's coming through. Obviously, we can't guarantee we're going to answer every single question, but she's looking out for themes and particular questions that are really relevant. She knows that I can answer. So here we go. Yeah, how to attract the right types of clients. Thank you, Julie. How to really know what my special sauce is for clients. Valerie, that's a great question. Getting the clients and building a sustainable business. Marta, beautiful question. Sustainable, really, really important. Is it better to focus on one very specific, such as exec, or to broaden? Maria, great question. Hold on to these questions. Look at everybody else's questions. See who else is in the space with you. You are not alone. Welcome. So as they're coming in, Clarissa is absolutely monitoring those. So do know that nothing is wasted. And I want to formally welcome you to the session. So this is called Launching and Growing Your Coaching Practice Tools for Success. So by the end of the session, I promise you, you will know what works, what to start doing in order to launch and grow your coaching practice, and possibly even more important, what to stop doing. So what you need to stop doing based on my experience and the coaches I work with day in, day out. Now, just to check that you're in the right space. So this is for you. Even if you haven't started coaching yet, it means you are ahead of the game and you already know the importance of building a business so that you can do the wonderful work of coaching out in the world. It's also for you if you're already into your training and haven't started yet, or started but you don't really know where you're going. And it's also for you if I had someone on there who'd been coaching for 4 years and they're here. So if you've been coaching for 4 years and you're here, this is definitely for you if you're hitting a certain mark, but you're not getting to where you want. And that's in terms of client base, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of turnover, all of that. So this is for you if any of this that sounds like you. This is not for you if you need to be convinced. If you need to be convinced that you need to focus on launching and growing a coaching practice in order for you to be a coach out in the world. So if you've got a fixed mindset that, oh, I'll just coach and everyone will come to me and I don't need to focus on business. If you need to be persuaded, this is not for you. You are going to hate me. I'm very business focused and it's in service of you being a fabulous coactive coach out there. But seriously, if you need persuading, convincing, please do not waste your time. So, oh, got a nice little thumbs up there. I like that. Love that. Thank you. So, let's go into a little bit about me. And the reason I'm sharing this is not to go, hey, look at me, but it's for you to know why you should listen to me, my journey, and then the learnings I've had that have me be here and talk about this. So see what lands for you, see what resonates, see where you might get to as well. So, excuse me. I started coaching. I did my coactive training 17 years ago, and it absolutely blew my mind, changed my life, and I am not exaggerating. It blew my life up and changed my life for the better, absolutely. And it was a bit of a tumultuous journey. I mean, no one ever warned me the effect that it would have on me personally. But I was a new mother. I had a 2-year-old and I was in a failing relationship. And I was in the middle of that failing, like super failing. During certification, I left my daughter's father. And for me, I did not have a plan B. I had a tiny redundancy. I took voluntary redundancy. I used to work at the BBC, but that was it. There was no plan B for me. So I needed to make it work and I needed to support my family. And that was that. There was no parachute. The only parachute that was going back to full-time work and putting my daughter in childcare, which I did not want to do. And I made all of the mistakes. So I went for volume initially. I did not niche down. I went for volume. And at one point I was coaching 30 people at a time. I'll tell you in a minute what that led to. I also did all of the extra trainings. You know, up until a certain point, I did a lot of extra trainings. And yeah, I spent a lot of money and a lot of time on those extra trainings. I also had a big saboteur around not being corporate enough. So I did not do corporate for 4 years. My big saboteur was that I was not smart enough. I was not corporate enough. I was not educated enough. I was too northern. So in England, having a northern accent can be perceived as being a bit thick. And I certainly had that saboteur. So I made all of those mistakes until one day I literally ended up on all fours. I completely burnt out and was taken to the doctor by a friend who found me there. And that was the beginning of me going, okay, I need to do this smarter. This is not working for me. And that's when, instead of all the coach trainings and all of that, I switched my focus. I saw that I needed to focus on creating a business. I'd never run a business ever before in my life. I'd been a full-time employee and I had saboteurs around that as well. So that's when I started having a mentor, a supervisor. I started doing business trainings, business development programs, and really getting a handle on that, especially marketing. I was years ago on LinkedIn when people weren't on LinkedIn. I used to drive around in a car with a banner on of, you know, I really went full in on the marketing. because what I realized was I wanted to keep all of the money. I wanted to learn how to do all of the things in sales because I wanted to keep all the money. I had a family to support and I wanted a very good lifestyle. So that is when things started going well for me. So that is when, so Clarissa, can we have the slide? Thank you. So that is when things started to go well and I came to the attention of the Coactive Training Institute and started leading their monthly the business of coaching calls. So what happened was I started getting really big name corporate clients. So people like Costain, Ogilvy, Generali Insurance, really, really big named global corporate clients, even though I was a one-woman band and still mainly are. So that's what started happening for me. I also published my first book and I started winning awards and really started being recognized. And I've since gone on to write another book and a couple of multi-author international best-selling books. Also done a podcast. So that was the big shift for me, really starting to build my brand, my profile, and then getting all of these big client names, as well as working with then mentoring other coaches who wanted to do the same, who wanted to build successful practices, but on their terms, because we've all left corporate jobs and we all want to design our own lives. So that was my story. Now, what I want to go into, and the reason that's relevant, is a lot of the mistakes I made and turn things around are the ones that I see coaches making on a daily basis. So this is in my experience with my mentees that I've been working with for over a decade now. So the mistakes that I see other coaches making, these are the top 3. Now, as I go through these, what I'd love for you to do is share your own experience of these. Do any of this ring true for you? Any particular experiences? Feed into Clarissa and she'll feed them through to me. So typically when I talk about this, it lands. Let's see. So number 1, the first mistake that I see coaches making is this is what I call the associate track and trap. So this is when early doors, you've just trained or in training, you are new, which triggers all of your not good enough, imposter syndrome, all of that, and also a fear of marketing because nobody gets into coaching to be on social media and put themselves out there. As coaches, we are much more comfortable when our focus is on the other. So being out there marketing is not what we did this for. So we often go into the associate track. So that means typically big companies or smaller ones where they hire you out at a rate, they do all of the marketing and they hire you out and you are an hourly rate coach. Now, it sounds good. Typically, because you basically think, okay, it's going to put me in front of loads of clients. Yeah, it will. They're clients. And I'm going to get loads of exposure and I'm going to get some guaranteed income. The issue with this is, and this is where it comes to the trap, is that yes, you will be put in front of loads of clients, but you cannot then build or make those clients into your own because they belong, and you'll have to sign an agreement, rightly so, because they belong to the other business. The other issue is that every hour you are spending in someone else's business, you are not developing your own. The other issue is they will typically farm you out at a very high rate and you will get a fraction of that. If you are lucky, you will get a 50-50 cut. But I do know people who are getting a 20% cut. Now, I don't know about you, but that does not sit well with me. And that is not going to give you a really growing sustainable business. I had one client who came to me. Now she had a big $200,000 job. She wanted to replicate that for her family. She had a family, she had responsibilities and wanted to replicate that. Super smart, experienced woman. The problem was she was in the associate trap, and that's what she called it. She had just come out of coaching 40 hours in 1 week. 40. I do not know how she does that. I still don't know how that is possible, but that is absolutely true. She was exhausted, she was burning out, and she was so exhausted and stressed that there's no way she could work on her own business. And she was really heading for trouble if she continued on that. And what we did is, and she was hitting the 50K mark. That was it. So she was going nowhere, and she was not going to be able to. She was going nowhere. And that is what I mean by the trap. Okay. Number 2. Doing more and more trainings. Now, if you come out of the coactive core curriculum, and especially certification, you do not need to do any more coach trainings. Trust me. Contrary to what all of those people out there will tell you who target you on Facebook, you do not need to do an ADHD training. You do not need to do a menopause training. Or back in my day, it was a career coaching qualification. Or so a client asked me the other day, executive coaching qualification, and she's just finishing certification. You do not need to do a neuroscience training. They're all great and have to, but they will not automatically help you grow your business. They just will not. So the common thing that I get told, yeah, but, is that the promise or the idea behind it is that that's going to bring you loads more clients. You're going to suddenly be this okay or better than okay coach that's magically going to get more clients. It does not do that. It does not work. And what I say to coaches is sense check. Look, if you want to go and spend 10 grand on a training, you're already earning the money, you've already got your clients, your business is doing really well, and you love learning. Because that's another reason I hear, I love learning, I love learning. Great, if you've got all of those in place. But sense check how much time, how much energy, and how much money is it taking out of you and your business. So please sense check it. I also apply this to things like personality profiling tools. There's the Enneagram, there's Hogan, there's all of that. Great, yeah, they're great to have, but they're not going to make you suddenly feel okay about yourself and squash that imposter syndrome. Because actually the reality is most corporations have their favored one, and they're not rocket science to read. If you really want to do one, if a company says to you and they guarantee you work, yeah, go and do the training or get them to pay for it or sell it in first and that will pay for it. But please do not, from a place of not feeling good enough, be doing more and more trainings. And my phone is on. How terrible. Sorry about that. That's my doctor. There you go. So that is more and more trainings. Is there anything coming through on that, Clarissa, you're noticing? Because I'm seeing a couple, but I don't want to lose the focus.
Yeah, no stories yet, but somebody says, thank goodness someone is talking sense for a change. So I think you're speaking to, what a lot of people are thinking. So yeah, keep going.
Yeah,
I'm
brilliant.
loving it.
Thank you, Besna. And actually, I noticed this one. Thank you, that's great. From Mario, is being an associate, oh God, it's gone now. Is being, oh God.
An associate ever a good career move? At what stage of the career, how do you avoid the trap?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, it can be if you're niching in a certain area and you're doing associate work, say maybe on an MBA program that's for those people and there's no non-compete and it's a real fit for your niche, it can be. But again, sense check it. Really sense check it, and really sense check it in terms of how much time it's taking out of your business, and is it going to help you build your business? Like, this is where we'll come to what's important and how you can even more sense check that. So it depends. Sense check with caution is my answer.
Yeah, and Edwardine, sorry if I said your name incorrectly, but they said yes, did the associate track and and got trapped in the beginning, have moved away and severed the imbalanced partners.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, and thank you for sharing that. It's such a common tale. Thank you.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
last thing, Meredith says, what I hear here is don't do these things out of fear, do them out of strategy.
Oh, Meredith, she's on it.
Yes.
I think Meredith, I'm going to use that. Yeah, don't do it out of fear, do it out of strategy. There you go. That's the sense checking. Love it, Meredith. Thank you for sharing, Clarissa. Wonderful. Now, let's go to number 3. Now, all of this lies under both of number 1 and 2. So being run by saboteurs. So the key saboteurs I see running the show and that will kill you from launching and growing your business. They'll kill your business within the first year. And there was a report by the ICF that 85% of coaching businesses fail within the first year. So this is serious. So get a hold of this. And the key saboteurs I see around, I don't want to be out on social media. It's so inauthentic. I don't want to be authentic. People will feel, and people will think I'm bragging. So what about being inauthentic and being out on social media, that there's something evil about it? Another key one is around money. We've all got money saboteurs. I do loads on money saboteurs. And there's a real belief that earning good money to support your family is somehow evil, is somehow wrong, and it's only good and worthy if it's working with people who don't have money. That's another key one that I see. So really, my advice to you is do the inner work. So instead of spending your time and your money on the associate track and trap or doing more and more coach trainings, like I did, get a supervisor, get a therapist, get a mentor who can hold both, the practicals and the deep inner work as well. So really do your inner work. You are your greatest asset for sure.
Yeah, and what you're saying actually right now is what Kelly has put in the chat when I did Kelly says, when I did my oral exam to get my CPCC, one of my mentors said, whoever manages saboteurs best wins. That has stayed with me well beyond my oral exam. It's true all the time.
Wow. Love that. Thank you for sharing that. Can you repeat that line again? Because I think that's really important for everyone.
Yes, whoever manages saboteurs best wins.
Boom, that's a mic drop. Whoever that was, let them know how fabulous they were for sharing that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and one clarification while you're here, what do you mean by getting a supervisor as a coach? There's a couple, mentor
Ah,
versus supervisor. Yeah.
yeah. So supervision is a thing. So supervision was super helpful for me because it focuses on you as a coach dealing with issues with your clients. And there's a 7I model. I'm not trained in it, but my supervisor worked with a 7I model, and it really focuses in on the deeper inner work of how you relate to your clients. So I remember I had one really, really tricky male client who used to trigger me and remind me of my dad. And he was like running the show and saying, I'm only going to do this, I'm only going to do that. So I took that to supervision, and that helped me work through how I could really be the coach, not get triggered and fully serve that. But in terms of my own deep work, I don't get triggered by those guys anymore. So it's really, really deep inner work in service of you as a coach and your clients. Highly recommended. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and more stories coming in through in the chat. So I won't get a chance to read all of them, but Valerie shares, I paid for and signed up for an executive coach training that I didn't even complete because all the time I spent on it felt like I wasn't going anywhere. It has made me so much more careful and intentional when I look at trainings or certifications. So many people that did it told me it really worked for them, but I think I should have asked myself, what am I trying to get from this? And that would have showed me that I wasn't clear on that, and or I wanted it to give me business, which it won't and didn't.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. We all expect it to give us business, and it just doesn't work like that. But we're going to come to the good news soon, don't worry. So, underneath all of that, So next slide, next animation. Thank you, Clarissa. I'm working you, aren't I? Doing the chat and the animations. Basically, what all of that leads to, if you are not careful, this is why I'm really banging on about this before we go to the news. This is all the stuff to please, 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 if you take nothing else from today, you stop doing these, because what happens is you end up having a business not on your terms, a life, a business not on your terms. You'll be doing more work for less money than you were in your corporate job. Or if it does all fail, which, like someone said, if you don't sort your saboteurs, it will fail. You'll have to go back to corporate life. So for me, this is a really important moment and a point to think about. Why are you doing this? What is this about for you? You know, going back, if you've done coactive, your big A agenda. For me, this is all about your big A agenda. You know, having launching and growing your coaching practice. It's not about just having a business. I'm hardcore about business, but it's in service of your big A agenda. And if you haven't done coactive yet, your big A agenda is, you know, the big picture for your life. What it is you want for your life. So your business is about fitting into that and supporting that and creating that. And, you know, you out there living your purpose. In service of that, you need to focus on the business. Okay. So, as I promised, unless there's anything, Clarissa, before we move, let's go to some good.
Yeah, I think we're ready because a lot of the questions are about how to find clients, how to attract clients, how to build a sustainable business. So I think you're about to get to that juicy part now, yeah?
About to get to the juicy part. So yeah,
Let's
great.
go.
Be busy, Clarissa. Seeing where they all fit in. Yeah. So the good news. So look, like I say, I've been mentoring coaches to build successful businesses on their terms, and I've developed a 7Cs model. So this is the 7Cs that I think are absolutely foundational to your business. So in terms of launching and growing your business, these are essential. So get your pen ready, take notes, think about for each one, what's one action you can take in order to step into this foundation. So clarify. So if we can do the next animation, that'd be great. Thank you. The line, the explanation. Thank you. So this is all about getting really clear on your big vision, your big A, as I keep banging on about. So when that fabulous person said about strategy, you know, when you're sense checking, does this fit in with my vision? Does this fit in with things? You need to be clear on what your vision is. So when I work with clients, and you can do this, not now, but take a note of it and do this either yourself, preferably with another coach in one of your cohorts, or if you've got a coach mentor, this is super, super important. So 3-year vision, and really step into as if it's all worked out beautifully. This is what you're doing it, you're living it. So dive into the coaching space. This is pure fulfillment if you've done coactive already. If not, you'll find out. Who are you working with? What are you helping them achieve? How are you doing this? Are you doing this one-on-one? Are you doing this group? Are you doing trainings and facilitations to go around it? Are you working with people individually? Or are you doing organisation work? Are you doing it within your region? Are you doing it globally? Where's your headquarters? What does it look like? Who's your team? What are your financials? You know, what's the turnover? And I always get curious about this in terms of in sake of what. So a lot of people come to me, they say, I want 2 to 300K. In service of what? What's the life you're wanting to create? And importantly, so remember the picture of my daughter Amelie, who is now 19 and traveling in Bali. It freaks me out. She was 2 when I started. You know, my thing was that I wanted to raise her. I didn't want her to go into childcare. I'm not making childcare wrong. Personally, I wanted to raise her. I wanted to be around to do that. So I've always worked a 30-hour week. That's what I wanted to do. So how many hours do you want to work? Because all of that will inform things like, does it make sense to do associate work or not? What's in line with my vision? Does this help me on my way to my vision? Super, super important. So do your 3-year vision. And then if that's where you want to get in 3 years, what do you need to be at by 1 year? Again, that's where you want to be. What do you need to have in place? What do you want to get to and hit by 1 year? Then 6 months, all the way down to your 90-day goals. And that will really, really focus your thinking. That will really help you make those decisions. So that's clarify.
I
Oh,
have one question that might be, if it's okay, it might be relevant here because you're talking about like, 1, 2, 3-year plan. Liza says, earlier you said that 80% of the coaching businesses fail in the first year.
yeah.
So what does that mean exactly? I've also been told it takes about 3 years to make business take off properly. So I'd imagine that end of year 1 is not a good place to assess if you succeeded or failed. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's 85% actually. And it means they fold. So they fold, they shut down. So make of that what you will. They either go back to their former jobs or they do something else, but they fold their businesses. Yeah.
Oh.
Did that answer the question?
Well, the question was more like, okay, in the first year, if a lot of businesses fail, is that a good place to assess if you succeeded or failed or not, to do that determination in the first year?
Yeah, I mean that's why you do your 1 year goals. Okay, if that's where I want to be in 3 years, what do I want to be at in 1 year? And for some of you, like me, what do I need to be at? Mine was a survival situation. I was a single parent. I did not want to go back. I think that can be actually very helpful if you've got something like that in the background. So yeah, absolutely. At 1 year, once you've decided where you want to be, again, assess. Absolutely.
Okay.
But no,
Thank
the
you.
85 is that businesses fold, they close down.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right.
So moving on. And thank you, Kate, Amelie. Yes. So someone says, I have an Amelie too. She is my why. Yeah. Really important to know why you're doing this. Absolutely. Chemistry. So this is something that is important right from the beginning. So I took on my first client in fulfillment. So I started charging good money in fulfillment. And what's super, super important right from the beginning, and obviously there's a lot more than this, is about how you enroll people into coaching, how you hold clarity calls, discovery calls, how you have those initial conversations that will lead to people signing up. Now, the big thing that I see a lot of coaches doing is that how do I talk about coaching and describing coaching? It's not a head thing and it is not your job to sell coaching. But it is your job as a coach to give someone an experience of coaching and feel the value of coaching and get a taste for how you can help them get from A to B. Now, if you want a little bit of a structure, which I'm going to give you now, outline, what I say is this. What's really, really important is that you meet people where they are. So you really dig into their pain points. So why are they here? What's going on? How bad is it? And get them to go into that to really realize, name and sit with the pain and why they're here. So just as a clue, people do not come to coaching for a lovely conversation, and they certainly will not pay you anything to have a nice chat. People come to coaching because they want to get out of a pain and into, not pleasure, but you know what I mean. They want something resolved. They want to sort something out. They want to get from an A to a B, and they need to know how you can help them specifically. So first part is really dig into the pain points. What's brought them here? Then sense check. How committed are they before you go to the next piece? So I always ask potential clients on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to changing all of this? Now, I do that because it's not an easy ride to work with me, and nor should it be to work with you. Coaching and transformation, we're in the business of transformation, is work. It's scary. It's hard. And I do not like to sugarcoat that, because you need someone who is committed. And I've even at that point, someone, I don't get many because I make it really clear in all of my messaging. Someone I remember said they were a 6. And that's when I went, I'm not really sure then that I'm the right coach for you, or that coaching is. And she went, yeah, it's probably not, So do that. And then go into the next piece, so really signpost. And at the beginning, say that you're going to have these check-ins. Really have someone feel safe, held, and seen. Super, super important. Then go into fulfillment. So if you haven't done coactive yet, fulfillment is really, where do I want to be? Fantasy version. Now I ask that question, fantasy version, because it bypasses the saboteurs. And people go, what do you mean fantasy version? I go, yeah, don't worry, give people context. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do it. Just for now, go for it. And you'll have to keep pulling them back from present, keep pulling them back from all their limiting beliefs, keep pulling them back. So you need at the top to get permission to intrude. Do not sit there allowing them to waffle on and go back into the pain. You really need to hold somebody into their big A, what it is they want for their life. That is your job as a coach. Then once you do that, name some values, create an action. I use a lot of somatics. You can probably tell I'm very physical. If you're into somatics, and I recommend you do move, like on the coactive, you move around and do that even with corporates. Don't be shy, because that has a real difference, and that really changes and shifts things within someone's thinking, behaving, and feeling. Get them to name that new place and come up with an action that they can take in the next week. Then get them to sit down and get them to ask them, what did you get out of that process? So get them to name it. And then, so hopefully you will have sent them an inquiry form or a prep form. The more information you have, the better. And then you can talk through where they want to get to in relation to what you've been talking about or what they've put on their form. Tell them you can help them get from here to here, here to here. Go through the particulars and then give them some suggestions on how to do that. So give them 3 pricing options: a high, middle, lower price, with different options. That's duration, that's extra things that you would have in there. Like for me, I do strategy days, or I do a profiling session, or things like that. But 3 different things, and ask them which one's them, because then they name their budget, or they might not be sure. Talk through all of that, and then either it's a yes or a no. Now, if it's a I'm not sure, book in another follow-up call for a week later and send them a follow-up email summarizing everything you've done in that call. Any questions or anything coming through on that, Clarissa? Because that is a hot topic for a lot of people, and it'd be relevant to you whichever part of your journey you are in now.
Yeah, so one quick kind of question is, how long is this call for you usually?
Yeah, I mean, I've done various. I used to do 90 minutes. They are brilliant 90 minutes because you really do deep dive and you really go in. But now I do 45 minutes with coaches, and I do 60 minutes with corporates, and that works well. But that's because I've really fine-tuned it, really nailed it, and that works for my people. I think things changed, and I think a 90-minute for a lot of people now is a big ask. And for me as well, I mean, I do a lot of filtering before people come to me. I have a wait list now as well. But you've got to be careful with your time as well. And I think you both know within 45 minutes or 60 minutes, whether you want to work with each other. And that's the thing I would say as well. It's a 2-way decision. And I say that at the top. So if I don't want to work with someone, and if I don't, or if I can't help them, I say this at the top, I will tell you. So after that fulfillment piece, the coaching piece, that's when I'm transparent, and I'll tell them if I want to work with them or not as well.
Also, Sarah has kind of a good follow-up on what you just said. If they're not, what if they're not sure about coaching after the chemistry and they're not willing to commit to a follow-up call a week later, what do you do?
Um, have a think about this, Sarah. What would you do? I mean, I always have people, they're always willing to do the call. And if someone's feeling a bit non-committal, I will name it. And I'll say, I'm noticing you seem a bit non-committal. What's going on for you? And if they are, I don't want to work with someone like that. You know, if someone doesn't even want a follow-up call and they don't seem very committal, then I'm probably not the right coach for them. And do say it like that. Was it Sarah?
Yes,
Yeah,
Sarah, yeah.
Sarah, do say it like that. Don't say you don't sound like you're, you know, I mean, so you don't seem ready. It's like, yeah, I don't think I'm the right coach for you. Because if someone is that like that with me at that point, how, you know, how they show up with you is how they show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Another quick question, and then I have a longer question. One is a few people are asking, do you charge for these chemistry discovery calls? No. Okay.
No, and the reason for that is, we'll come to that as well a bit later on, is because that is part of your program ecosystem, which we'll come to in a bit. That is part of onboarding clients. That is part of clients getting to know you and you getting to know someone to see if you are a good fit to work with each other. That's part of the deal. That's part of the whole show, I would say. So I don't charge for it though.
Okay. And then maybe you're about to get to this, but Cafe and Vesna have similar questions, like what worked for you to actually gain these chemistry session leads? So
What
that's the
works
big
for me to
question.
get them, we're going to come to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah. A few people are starting to actually ask the same,
yeah,
like, how do you actually get clients on this call? So that's the big
yeah.
question now.
We're going to come
And
to
just,
that.
yeah, just one more thing. This is being recorded. The slides will be recorded. Oh, the slides and the recording will be shared, I believe on Monday, May 19th, at coactive.com/ICW. I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah,
So
great.
go
We
ahead.
are going to come to that. So you hold that as well, Clarissa, just in case I forget in the excitement of it all. Yeah, we're going to come to that. Cool. So next foundation, connect. So this is linked with chemistry. This is for you specifically if, like me, you want to do corporate coaching. So I know some of you don't, but if, like me and a lot of my mentees, you're going from quite senior corporate jobs and you want to do corporate coaching, this one is definitely for you. So it's how to do that right from the beginning, from having those and utilizing your network, doing all of that outreach all the way through. So I have a process for that. So it's super, super important for you to have a process to follow and to do that consistently. So really, if this is you, really utilize your existing contacts. So I'll tell you just a little example of a way to do this. So I used to work at the BBC, and like I say, I was one of the first. I was out on LinkedIn a long time ago and I was posting and doing all of that. And I noticed somebody I used to work with was commenting and liking my posts. So really, really simple. And this is what I've done all these years. I did an outreach. I call them outreach message, simply saying, hey, thank you for commenting on my posts. Since we worked together at the Beeb, as you know, I've developed my own coaching business. And it's really helpful for me to have conversations, market research conversations, different industries, to see what other people issues that I can be helping with and focusing on. He said yes. I went and had a coffee, and this was with Ogilvy and Mather. Huge, if you don't know Ogilvy and Mather, huge global advertising agency. In that conversation, there's a particular way to run that conversation and to drop insights in, to drop examples subtly, but really listen, use all of your fabulous coaching skills. What are the pain points? What are the goals? What are the values? All of that stuff, you've got it all. For coaches, you have some great sales skills. And I know a lot of coaches hate the word sales, but please, please, please get comfortable with it. It's part of running your own business so you can be a coach in the world. So use those skills, had that conversation, and then I asked for the referral. I said, look, it sounds like I could be of use here. It sounds like it'd be great to speak to someone here. Who could, don't ask a yes or a no question, again, coaching skills. Who could you introduce me to that I could go and speak to about this? He introduced me to the new head of L&D, went and had a conversation. Again, there's a real process to how you have that conversation. Coaching skills, again, super useful. And that led to years of work, tens of thousands of pounds, possibly hundreds actually. And then when that guy moved to a new company, he took me with him. So you nurture those relationships. Remember, it's just people. There's a whole thing about corporates, but it's just people, people by people. And I get asked a lot, oh my God, how can I compete with the big guys? It's a virtue that you're not one of those big, and I'm not going to name any names, big guys. You are bespoke, you are human, it's personal. It's a very different situation. As a one-woman band, I've got some massive contracts with some big organizations, and you can do it too. It's absolutely possible. So do know it. Yeah. Anything around that? Oh, thank you. I'm getting some lovely love hearts coming up. Yeah, I'm really passionate about the corporate thing. Yeah.
Yeah, one quick question. Can you repeat that referral question that you asked?
Oh, yes, I can. So I said, so we had this conversation. In this conversation, I was dropping in insights of, not industry insights, but maybe, so an insight, for example, is, oh God, yeah, I mean, there's a whole load of stuff around stress and cognitive function. And, if you don't deal with stress, then this leads to this, that's an insight. Or I do a lot around burnout. And then the question I asked was, this sounds like there's loads of stuff going on here that I could help with. Who can you refer me to discuss this with further? That's it. But remember to do a who, not a can you, yes or no. Who? And I actively ask clients as well, all of my clients, who can you refer me to? Super important. My referral rate of my business goes from anything between 70 to 90% at any one time. You do good coaching and you actively ask for referrals. Seriously, that will help you grow your coaching business more than anything else, and much better than associate work.
No, thank you for that. And another big question that's coming up is like, what if I've never been a CEO or, at the C level? And also, what if I'm not certified? Can I still do this work?
Um, Firstly, what if I'm not CEO? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, just make sure your saboteurs don't get in the way like they did for me for 4 years. I've never been a CEO. I've never been a senior leader. I was a producer at the BBC. So that doesn't matter. And I've never been an engineer, and I work with a lot of engineers. It's not relevant. And if there's some saboteur stuff, work through that for sure. Most countries, it's absolutely beneficial to be certified. So to be ACC or PCC, we're all coactive, so that's relevant, or EMCC, whatever, but it is preferable to be certified if you want to do corporate. And that was my plan, and that's why I did it right on the back after core curriculum. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I think that answers, a lot of people were like, yeah, how do I get into corporate? How do I, do that without having maybe that experience or not? And so you are a powerful experience, your experience, yourself, you are evidence that it's possible. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And I just noticed a really good one because I'm nosy. From Nicholas, I'm an architect and lack corporate background. Do you think I can aim to corporate coaching? Yes. Yes. I mean, architecture, there you go. Corporate is working with the architect firms. That's all that corporate means, is you're working with the organization, your organization funded. So there you've got a niche, Nicholas, I would say. There's a niche. And I'm sure there's a key issue and pain point that you know about because you've been there, done it. It's perfect. So I would absolutely start there. Yeah. Thank you. Let's go on to the next. I'm just holding time a bit.
Yes.
Conquer. Now, look, this is what I've been banging on about right from the beginning. If you do not deal with your saboteurs, you will not have a business, as that fabulous person said. Seriously, this will kill your business. It will make life difficult, and it will have you making those mistakes of the associate track and trap, more and more coach trainings that drain you of money, time, and often people's life savings. So please, 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 please focus on this as a priority with your coach, with your mentor, with your therapist. And I would say, if you don't have a coach, I would be suspicious of that. I always have a coach, a mentor, and a therapist, actually. So absolutely do your inner work, sort out your inner game. And yeah, what I mean by that is I would never work with someone who's not having their own coaching. I would be suspicious of that. Do your inner work. Let's go on to the next, Clarissa. Create. Now, this is the game changer. So this will speak to all of your questions of how do I get people to come to me? How do I get people to show up to me? Now, this is about making the intangible tangible. So having a program, having offerings. Otherwise, you are just going to be another coach who can just coach anyone. And why you, basically? Why you? So, Clarissa, can we go to the next slide, which shows what I mean? So this is about creating a program that will get someone specific from A to B. So this is an example of one of my programs. So I have 3 main programs: Strategic Leader, Emerging Leader, and Successful Coach. So I have my own IP. I've worked on the steps or the foundations. I've identified a key person that I can help, and I help them get from A to B. This is an example of it. So this is my Successful Coach program because it's relevant to you. So I work with coaches. This is the pain points on the left side of the screen, who are feeling isolated. They're in it on their own. They're being run by their saboteurs, and they have no business knowledge or plan. They've never done it before. They're typically coming from corporate roles that they've been in their whole life. Underneath those pain points is the big fear that they can't make it and that they're going to burn out and they're going to have to go back to corporate life. That's the pain points. Get clear on that. Then the benefits of working with you. So they will feel and be championed and supported every step of the way. They will absolutely build up their self-belief and knowing we absolutely work hardcore on those saboteurs. And they will have the business know-how and strategies, and they'll be implementing them. And the big prize is they will be running a successful coaching business on their terms for their life, in line with their big A. And how to get there is what I'm telling you about now. The 7 C's, the 7 foundations. That's what I'm talking about. Make it tangible. It's really difficult for people to buy something that they can't nail down. It's not a thing. This makes it a thing. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that when I'm working with someone, we do this. We dance in the moment as well. We're coaches, we're coactives, we dance in the moment. But there are 7 key areas that are essential that we work on. That's what I'm talking about. So any questions around that, Clarissa, coming through, or themes?
Yeah, wondering if I can go back a slide. Somebody asked if I could go back to the
Yeah, do.
thing.
Unless,
Okay.
are there any specific questions about this before we go back?
Oh, yeah. Any questions? There was a question earlier about how to create an offer or offerings and the different option services you offer your clients, and you kind of named that already here.
Okay, cool.
And how do the programs relate to the 3 levels of options that you have?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. So I have that program, and there are 3 different ways you can work with me on. You know, one at one price, one at a middle price, one at a lower price. Which one sounds like you? Depends. And that will be either a 12-month program, a 6-month program with certain things in it, or a 4-month program. And the 12 months got other bells and whistles, extra stuff, extra things within it. So my extras are strategy days. I do WhatsApp mentoring. I do strategy sessions, whatever it is that's relevant to your client, build out 3 different levels of offerings. Yeah.
Okay, so, and these are just programs you offer for individuals, or do you also use them when working with organizations,
I
Mary
do
Beth
that with
asks?
organizations. I've got 4 pricing options typically. And also, you know, there's room to maneuver. If they want something from here, or they want something from there, we do that too. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, there's a lot of asks to go back to the last
Yeah.
slide, so
Yeah.
maybe go back.
Let's go back.
Okay.
I just want to answer because I saw that one I like. Maria, what is a strategy session? Oh, a strategy session is where you have me for the day and we go through where you are now, all the areas, all the parts of your life and your business, who you want to be, and then we map out where you want to get to. So your big 3-year, your 1 year, your 6 month, your 90 days, but we do it in a whole day. So it's really granular as well. When we map it out on big whiteboards around my office rooms in St. Paul's. Yeah, that's a strategy day. I also do that with corporate clients as well. So we build out their strategy.
Okay, wow. Yeah, a lot of different variety that you have. And people are curious, like, how do you create a program like this itself? Like, what do they need to know? How do they, yeah, make the choice even to niche down to like what you've chosen?
Yeah, again, there's loads in there. What I do with clients is we do client profiles first. Who are your clients? And we get really granular, like literally what their pain points are, where they show up, what they want for their life, all of that, and then we narrow that down. So it's called a client avatar or whatever it is. You can Google it. It's really well known. You get really specific about who your person is, what their pain points are, what the benefits are of working with you. And then you map out, how do I do that? How would we do that? What does that look like? And that's when you come up with the 7 steps. That's how I came up with these 7 steps. Now, what's important about this, and speaking to the question of how do you get people to a chemistry session? How do you get people there? Well, there's something known as a program ecosystem. And this is a program ecosystem, and it's an ascending transaction model. Ascending as in there becomes more interaction as you go along.
Oh,
Now,
we can't see what you're writing. I think you have to hold it in front of you or something.
that,
Yeah.
you see that?
No, unfortunately
No,
not. No.
you can't see it. How can you not see that on the camera? No?
Ah, there we go. Now
Yeah.
you see. You have to put it like right in front of you. Yeah,
Okay, thank
exactly.
you. Thank you. So it's an ascending transaction model. So here, just say here is your program. Yeah, so you've just seen my program there. Now, it's a really big leap to get someone to sign up for my program. You're not
Okay,
good, is
you'll still have to put it, yeah, put it right in front of you. Yeah, there
yeah,
you
is
go.
that good?
No, a little
No.
bit. Yeah, it's because
Okay.
of the background, so it might not work. Sorry.
Okay, it's not going to work. Okay. So what it is just imagine there's a big triangle. You just saw it, didn't you, Clarissa, the triangle? And your program's there. Now, in order to get people into your program, they need to kind of hear about you on social media. So you start putting stuff on social media. That's why it's important, because how else are people? Just bits of everything is value led. You're always giving value. It's not about you, it's about your client. It's only about you in relation to your client. And that's one of the head shifts I get my clients to get into to get them on social media. Share value. Then you invite people to something like this. This is a workshop. It's a product for prospects or whatever it is if you're doing it within your own business. You invite people to see you, to get more of a taste of you. Do all of that to get more of an experience and get some knowledge. You give people loads of stuff. So, and they walk away and they may want to work with you more. They may feel the need to go to the next level. In that case, that would be where your clarity session typically comes in, or your discovery session comes in. That would be the next level. Or sometimes people might jump from just hearing about you on social media, or if it's a referral, that would get them into the discovery session. So people need to hear about you, and they need to hear about you repeatedly on all angles. So if you just think about who your person is, your favorite person is, and if you've not niched, you need to niche, go back to clarify, and then think about Where or how can you get in front of groups of your people? That's what.
Yeah, that's such good advice, such good wisdom. And I'm curious because you already mentioned social media, and that question has come up a lot. Like, does social media actually work? Yeah, do you know any coaches that have successfully gained business through social media, but just from, consistent thought, leadership building, not just paid ads? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it works. I've never done paid ads. I'm going to be doing paid ads because I'm scaling. So I'm for the first time, I'm going to be doing paid ads next year or later this year. So it does work, but weirdly, don't get attached to comments and likes, because whenever I go in, and I work with a lot of men in corporates, a lot of engineers, and a lot of men in finance. Every time I go in for a session, I do a lot of on-site now. Every time I go in, they went, "Oh, I saw your post," and I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." They never comment because a lot of people will not be out there on social media. They're not going to reveal that, but there's a lot of eyes and a lot of people looking. So yes, it does work. And yes, I have experience of people signing up for my workshops just from my social media posts. That's how I get people signing up for I do a monthly free workshop. That's how people hear about me from social. That's it. So yes, it works. But don't think they're going to jump necessarily to a discovery call. You need something else in there that they can either sign up for and attend, like a workshop, or it's known as a lead generation magnet, a gift of some description, like a top 10 tips or a how to or a white paper. You need to give people something to capture their details and then have them on your newsletter as well. So be nurturing people on your newsletter. So, for example, I get a lot of people who bought my book, Change Your Life in 5, like 4 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, on my newsletter, because when they bought my book, they got into my newsletter, my funnel, and I'm repeatedly putting stuff out, adding value, giving insights every single week when they're ready. And people are typically in the change cycle for 2 years while they're contemplating change. So do know this, it takes time as well. But yes, it works.
Yeah, and I love what you're sharing because you're sharing your evidence. And I'm so sorry because I know we know each other. Lisa, I can't remember, is also sharing her evidence in the chat as well. She says, I've had people who are not my connection signing up for things via my LinkedIn posts who are not my first connection. I've had people tell me they've been looking at my posts for months or even a year before they plucked up the courage to give it a try. And yeah, I also say I've had the same. I have, a workshop that I posted many times and I didn't get somebody for like 2 years or something like that. So it definitely, yeah, it definitely works.
Yeah, yeah. And I've just noticed, because I'm being nosy, Lucy, this is a great question. When you really don't want to do a newsletter, is that a game stopper? I do post twice a week on LinkedIn consistently, and that is my platform. Lucy, I would question, what has you not want to do a newsletter? And I would tell you, you don't need to do any extra work. You just repurpose those 2 posts a week. That's what I do. Don't do any more work. That's it. So you've got a newsletter, you're already doing it. So my request to you is look into what has you not want to do it, because it's a nurturing, and I would say it's a really good next step from social. So, and you're already doing the work. Cool. So happy to move on to capture. Let me know, intrude if you want, Clarissa. Capture. So this is about consistent marketing plan and your core message. So this is about knowing who you work with, what you help them achieve. So over on LinkedIn, so I've got 2 main niches, my leadership clients and my coaches who I mentor. And if you go over on LinkedIn, you'll see my core message. You'll see my marketing plan in play because it's consistent, and it's really consistent and clear who I work with. So you'll even see in my tagline, LinkedIn now, it's like I work with overstretched senior leaders. So I typically work with senior leaders who are too hands-on, operational, firefighting, and I help them become more strategic, visionary. That's who I typically work with. So get your core message clear. Go back to clarify. Go back to your client profiling process. Go back to it's all about who you specifically work with and what you help them achieve. So yes, niche. And I know loads of people out there say not to niche. Good luck to you with that, because it makes your job very difficult. It makes marketing very difficult, and it does not help anyone go, she or he or they can specifically help me. And people need to self-identify. It's like I always use the analogy of, do you want to go to a GP to get heart surgery, or do you want to go to a heart surgeon? It's the same thing. You don't want to go to just a general coach. You want to go to the coach who's particularly good at doing heart surgery, but that typical bit of heart surgery, that very niche type of heart surgery, even better. It's like that.
Yes. Yeah. But how did you find your niche? Mimi's asking.
Yeah. Great question. Mine has developed over the years, but I started niching when quite early on in my, when I ended up on the floor, I started niching and I read loads and I did loads of work on it with mentors and courses and stuff like that. And it's really about, there's loads of different ways to do it. Best to work with a mentor specifically to nail you down and nail it down and sense check. But it really is starting by, who do you love working with? Can you help them? Like, who do you really, really, really love helping them with? And what do you love helping them get from and to? Like, seriously. Otherwise, what's the point in all of this? I don't work with people I don't love working with. I love working with those guys. I love it. Who do you work with that you're passionate about? Do they have the money? That's the other key piece. So do you work with passion, who you really want to work with, and do they have the purse strings? Do they have the money to pay you? Now, this is where people go, oh, but these people haven't got the money. Okay, that's fine. Is there an organization you can work with that services those people? Can you partner with an organization? If not, and if there's no way, then maybe they're not your main client base. But what you can do is consciously do pro bono work, but be super, super careful about pro bono work. Again, you can't pour from an empty cup. Focus on yourself first, your family, your business. When that's rich and full, absolutely be doing pro bono work. Absolutely for it. But be very careful about that, especially in the early days.
Yeah, no, good points. There's a few questions about, can you have, like, what if you love working with a lot of different clients? Can you have more than one niche? And yeah, Ryan also asked, how do you define your clients as a niche if you are also working for corporate clients? Perhaps seeing many different individuals in a large business is likely they will all have different requirements, needs, niches as well. So kind of two separate questions. Can you
Yeah,
have more than one,
that's
and how do you define it?
yeah. Yes, you can have more than one. I have two. Well, I have three, but I'm narrowing it down to the two. I also had midlife professionals, life by design program, but I'm really narrowing down to my leadership programs, strategic and emerging, and my successful coach. They're my two niches. So yes, you can, but start with one, make your life easier. When you've worked through and created your program ecosystem, your marketing, all of that, and you're nailing that, shift into the other one. A lot of people, when they start out, do corporate and private clients and get a bit more tailored and specific. So that's a good starting point for a lot of people. But get more niche than that, but think of that as a framework. Yeah. What was the other question, Clarissa?
Ryan asked, how do you define your clients as a niche if you're also working for corporate clients? Because you're going to be seeing many different individuals in a large business. It's likely they'll all have different requirements, needs, etc.
Yeah, and I don't know what your business structure is, or if you mean you're working within the organization. If you're working within the organization as a coach, it's a very different model. You don't have to niche. But I think what is helpful is, even in situations like that, you start thinking about who you love working with most. So you can become known as the go-to for. That's always super, super helpful. And also it means that you're always on purpose. You're really working with who you want to be working with. And it's a win-win because people feel that, and then you become known as the go-to for that as well. Yeah. Cool.
There's also a question of, sorry, I turned off my video. Do you offer pro bono work, or is that a choice you've made?
I have recently been doing some pro bono work with a charity. Yes. I haven't done a lot of it. As I've said, my focus has really been on filling up my cup, sorting out my family, doing all of that. And I'm nervous about pro bono work because I think you really got to have skin in the game. But I've had a very good experience recently with doing pro bono work, yeah, with a charity. So I've really enjoyed it, and just working with a young woman who would not have had access or even thought about the coaching actually. And that is something I'm building into my new scaling business as well, is that I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody asked, I'll just say, how can you print or save the chat? And there should be three dots and it should say save chat. If not, then that feature might be turned off. And unfortunately, I can't turn it on at this time. But again, this recording will be available on Monday, May 19th. So with the slides as well. All
Can
right.
you save the chat though? And can Laura save the chat? I'm asking that to you, Laura, in the background from CTI.
Yeah, we'll talk and we'll come
Yeah.
back. Yeah, with that answer.
I
Yeah.
think you can save the chat, and it's very helpful to do that. It would be good. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
One more really interesting, people are really curious about this question from Landis. How are you seeing artificial intelligence impacting the coaching industry or even your business specifically? Many established coaches I know are seeing leads dry up as the wave hits corporations.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm not experiencing a drying up of leads to do with AI. I absolutely am fascinated and love AI. I use chat a lot. I'm sure people are using it even more than me. There's huge potential. Get into it, research it, use it, find out how you can use it. And it's one of those things that's going to become a real divider between the people who embrace it and the people who don't. And I'm certainly in the embracing camp. But I'm not experiencing a drying up of work as a result of that. That is not my experience. So I can't speak to that, but great question. Yeah.
All right. And if you email, Laura has shared, if you email marketing@coactive.com, she can share the chat with you. So email marketing@coactive.com and they will share the chat with you there.
Thank you. So let's just move on to just holding time. I forgot to say at the beginning, my bad, there's a couple of coactive offers at the end if you hang around for those that I just want to share at the end as well. I forgot to tell you about that. So let's go on to crack, which always makes me laugh. Depends what country you're from, you'll know what I mean. So crack is all about the business of running a business. So this is the stuff I hate. I hate admin. I've got one of those creative brains who I love being all over the place. I used to tell myself I had a saboteur, that I was rubbish with tech. That is not true. I am embracing it, and it is not true that was a saboteur, but I'm sure a lot of you have the same. And this is things like accounting and GDPR. What I love about all of these things, again, all of this is in service of you being the best coach you can be, creating the best customer experience, and spending as much time as possible on coaching and not all of this stuff that none of us came into it for. So right at the beginning, if nothing else, please, please, please at least have a calendar booking link. Make it easy for people to book in those discovery calls that you will have earned from being out there on social media and being in front of groups and talking about coaching at events and referrals and asking for referrals. Please do not get into a back and forth on that. Another thing that I highly recommend you do when you set up your business is get into payment installments, and have a payment link. Again, make it easy for people to pay you, and always take payment first. Do not get into a cycle of waiting for payments, waiting for people to book their sessions. Hold a container for your client. So all of this tech stuff is about holding a really safe, structured environment and container for your client and creating the best customer experience that you can. Because remember, referrals are super, super important to you. And I don't know about you, but I love excellence, and I'm a bit of a recovering perfectionist. I want my experience of my clients with me to be the best it can be, and all that stuff can help it be that. So, any questions?
Well, maybe you can culturally translate what crack means, because as an American, I also didn't know what that means besides one meaning. So,
Crack in English can mean butt.
okay,
Yeah.
that's true.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and do you have, recommended, well, platforms for any of the things that you use? And do you have people helping you with the admin, or do you do it
Oh
yourself?
God, yeah, no, that was one of my mistakes. I need to write that down and share that mistake. I did not get an assistant for the first 7 years of my business, and that was a stupid mistake. No, I'm not going to be hard on myself. That was a mistake. So yes, I have an assistant who does a lot of work for me, and she's very tech minded. So she also does things like she creates my slides in Canva. She is brilliant with ChatGPT. She's very forward focused as well. So there's lots of possibility there. So absolutely. And if you think about what your hourly rate is versus their hourly rate, again, sense check what you're spending your time doing. Makes sense. What was the other question?
Yeah, if you had recommendations for any platforms for calendar, for payment, especially with different countries.
I can tell you what I use. I don't necessarily recommend them. They're fine. There are always other options. I'm always a bit funny about recommending, but I use Calendly and I use Stripe. But there are others. And I
Yeah.
think you've got to do due diligence and again, sense check what works for you. But those two things, seriously, if nothing else, right from the beginning, you're going to make your life easier. You're going to have more time for coaching or marketing, doing your business, and you're going to make your client's life a lot easier and more pleasant. Any,
Maybe a question coming up is about rates. So, like, how do you know how much to charge in these kinds of things?
yeah. It's a really good question. It's a very big open question. There is no right or wrong. Choose a figure and choose a figure that you're uncomfortable with, like stretch into it. We have so many limiting beliefs around money, and we have so many limiting beliefs around what people can pay. It's like we're responsible for them, we're their parent. So be super, super careful about this. And that's why all of the other pieces are really, really important. That's why the chemistry session stuff is important. The create is super, super important. And when you're having conversations, when you get to the money, you make it a value-led proposition, not a price conversation. So come away from the hourly rate. I always talk about this. You're not a plumber. You're not just turning up, mending a washing machine and leaving. You are in the business of transformation. You're holding someone in a process. Move away from the hourly rate because you keep it as a price conversation, not a value conversation.
Yeah, and you're kind of answering this already. Vesna says, "Do you do it as a bundle or per session?" And I'm assuming, yeah, you're valuing the transformation, so more of a bundle price.
But I'd even move away from bundle because you're making
Okay.
the hourly rate and the price. It's a program. It's a program. Whether that's a 10-month program, a 6 or a 4, it's a program. It's a container that you're holding them in. So move away even from the bundle, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, more questions coming in. And do they have unlimited Jennifer asked, do they have unlimited access to you during that program time?
I'm very boundaried. And yes, Monday to Friday, my clients typically have WhatsApp voice message access to me for mentoring and coaching. And that is for questions, celebrations, challenges, Because, like I said, you're holding someone in a process. Change is hard. Change is scary. Otherwise, we wouldn't exist and they would have done it anyway. So absolutely, I love doing my WhatsApp. I hate email. Ugh, I can't stand email, but that's just me. So my boundary is the time. So it's, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and I will answer within 24 hours. Nothing on weekends, nothing on evenings, really super boundaried. So you find what works for you and that you're happy with, and it is in service of your client.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And Dr. Jen says right now I'm finding people are very cautious about investing in a program, more want individual sessions, etc. So do you have any thoughts on that or?
Yeah, my thought is look at, are you portraying the value to the best you can? Go back to the chemistry. What's your structure? What's happening in that session? What has them want individual sessions? Because I have gone into the individual session thing, and it's the least satisfactory you can have in terms of change, transformation. It's not great. It doesn't work. So twofold, look at what's happening, what's from your end. How could you be better at portraying the value of a program? And yeah, what do you think about that? I've tried it. It doesn't work. I don't like it. My minimum program is 4 months as a consequence. Yeah, that's just me, how I work.
And just to clarify, what's included in your program? This is the coaching itself and what else? That's a question from
It depends which program.
Jennifer.
So,
Okay.
my successful coach, it is the sessions, it is the WhatsApp, it's my resources, it's whatever it is. It's yeah, that's it. So, it's all of those. And for other programs, I do a handbook. For my leadership program, I do a handbook. But that's also what's changing in my business. So I'm going to start adding in other things as well.
Yeah.
But so think about for you, what do you want to offer? This is the great thing. You can do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong. So think about what you want to do, who and how you want to be as a coach, and what is in service of your clients.
Hmm. There's a lot more questions, but I just want to check with on time. Is there anything else you wanted to share before I ask anymore, or?
I've got time for one more before we go to the promos, and then I want everyone to check in and respond in the chat with a thought. So one more question.
Okay, well, that's now you put
What
me on
time?
the spot. I have to make the
Oh no,
decision.
we're fine. No, we're fine. 23. It's
Okay.
23. Go
Yeah,
on.
it's 23.
We're fine. We're fine. Let's go to 26.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, in your programs, how frequently are you having sessions with your clients within your programs?
Yeah. So with my coaching mentees, it's typically once every 3 weeks. That's a really good cadence for implementation and keeping the momentum. For my senior leaders, it's a 1-2 hour session a month, depending on which program they signed up for, with a laser coaching session in between. So laser, that's another nice add-on, is a 30-minute on the telephone coaching session, either arranged and it's just about one thing, or it can be ad hoc as and when they need it, and we organize that. So like one thing, boom, bang, let's go.
Yeah.
And so they're once a month. My emerging leader program, which is mid managers, they typically are once every 3 weeks. So it depends. Again, see what works for you and your clients.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And just to clarify, somebody said, are you saying that individual sessions don't work, or, Cafe has a good response, like their interpretation is individual sessions without a full program commitment, such as 3 months or 12 sessions commitment does not work for sparking like real transformation.
Yeah. I don't find they work. They're not great for commitment. They're not great for momentum. And you've got to ask the question, if someone's asking that, how they show up with you is how they show up. What's their commitment level? What's going on for them that has them go, oh, they don't want to commit to a process or a program? That may be okay for you, It's not okay with me, and it doesn't work for how I work. And from my experience, nah, it's not for me.
Yeah. Going back to kind of the marketing sides, Marla says, how helpful was publishing a book to developing your business and getting clients?
So helpful. So helpful. What, look,
Okay.
so helpful. There's one of my little babies. And what's helpful around these, remember the program ecosystem. This is something you can then promote on social media. And then when they read their book, there's a case study in there, there's all your principles, there's what you do. They're going to be much more likely, if they need you and if it resonates, to want to work with you after reading a book. It's a game changer. It's a game
Okay.
changer, but do it again strategically as part of your program ecosystem, strategically, as someone said earlier beautifully.
Yeah, exactly. Because Kate asked earlier, and I think you've kind of answered this. The key question that I found difficult to get an answer is how to get these big clients that then lead to the book and all these other like things later on.
Social media, doing workshops, referrals, outreach, people you know, people who you know, all of those things. So direct outreach, social media, referrals, networks, people you know. Especially
Okay.
in the early day is direct outreach while you're building your social media for sure. But again, don't
Yeah.
go, oh, I'm a coach. Do you want some free or cheap coaching? And I just coach anyone and everyone. Get specific about that person and their group of people. I
Yeah,
hate
definitely.
seeing those.
Actually, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I hate seeing those things. Oh, I'm in certification. I'm doing free or cheap coaching. It's like, come on, value what we do. We are in the
Mm,
business of transformation. And if you undersell it or cheapen it, so will other people. It's
yeah.
amazing what we do, especially you've been trained in coactive. It's a very different model. It's a deep transformational model. Trust me.
Yes, definitely. Okay, we're at time, but there was one question from Dr. Jen in Cafe a couple times. Is like when or how do you ask current clients for referrals? Like what's a good timing for that?
Yeah, I do it. I say in my design, I will be asking you for 2 referrals, and then I do it about 3/4 through or at the end. Yeah, and it's look, I've loved working with you. You've seen what transformation you've had. Who can you recommend who you think would be another great client for me who could get the results that we've got? Something like that. So link it to the results and them. You want more of them. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we're at 27. Yes.
Yes, so let's quickly go to these slides. These are the 2 offers from the Coactive Training Institute. Oh, there is my free gift, sorry. My free gift, QR code. This is a great PDF, how to build a thriving coaching business on your terms. That's your free gift. There's the link, there's the QR. You will get this in the recording. Thank you. Go for that. And let's go to the next slide. Gregory, I'll just answer that as we go to the next slide. No, you get an introduction on email. You don't reach out, you get an introduction. So this is fabulous. I've just heard about this, didn't know about this, didn't exist in my day, the Coactive Coaching Practice Space. So these are live virtual spaces for you to work with other graduates and students to practice and build your confidence in coaching skills. Fabulous. So that's a new offering that sounds lovely. God, I wish I'd had that in my early days. So that's the first one. And then the
Yeah.
second one,
And
so
I'm putting all these links in the chat as well. So the
yeah,
gift from Sue and then the coaching practice space. And then also I'll put this one as well.
yeah, brilliant. And this is a bundling of courses, and you will get a free 3-day live online coactive leadership workshop with either of those. So that is a brilliant offer as well. I know, didn't have those in my days as well. So really good, really good. So as that's just left up on the screen there, as we close, take a moment, take a breath, because I've downloaded so much information on you. And hopefully you got your answer, you got your questions answered, and you've got a load of actions that you can do now. So As we come away from this, what's the biggest takeaway, or what's the main takeaway from this session? Let's just embed that for you as well before we go. What's your main takeaway? Oh, love this. I'm reading these. Niche, focus, confidence is skills. Brilliant, brilliant. Confidence. I can do this. Go for it on my terms. Oh yeah, inner work. Love that. Be yourself. Do the inner work. I love that that's got through. Love the 7Cs. Thank you. Remember why I started. Yes. Why are we doing this? Battle my saboteurs. Christy, that's it. 7Cs, big A. Thank you. Create your method. Referral conversation, 7Cs. Love the inner work. Yes. Love that, Emma. Thank you. Clear message and purpose. Oh my God. Know your value, manage saboteurs, big A. Thank you. Value what we do. No free work. Thank you. I love reading that. Get started. Admin, admin, admin. Yeah, well done on the crack, Edwardine. Fill your cup. Yeah, and lots of thank yous coming through. Thank you. Thank you. So, bye fear. Oh my God, I'm loving it. And I'm noticing we're at time. So I'm loving, let all those come through. I want to say a massive thank you. And I also really want to acknowledge you for massively showing up. I can't see your face, but I can see your words and I can feel the energy. And I'm just loving that you're already leaning in, and especially leaning in to building a business, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to support you doing the lovely coactive work out there. That's what it's about. So thank you. And go and connect with me over on LinkedIn. I would love to hear from you over there. And thank you for being here. We are complete.
All right, I'll be ending the broadcast now. Thanks for joining, everyone.